Okay, so I've been experimenting with several different mask style patterns this weekend, and I can't really decide which one I like the best. The common denominator of all of them is after experimenting with several different patterns, I've decided that no matter what, I like them all to have some form of an adjustable strap. So I wanted to kind of show you guys what I meant by that. And I think this is one of the most common styles that I've seen people making. And what I ended up doing was I put the filter pocket, and then I made it so that you could reach in to the filter pocket. Sorry, trying to film and show you guys. I made it so you could reach into the filter pocket and actually take the strap and knot it where you want it to be on the cord, and that way it makes the ear loop adjustable to whatever size you want it to be. And so that's how I made it. This one I did fabric ear loops. I just wanted to experiment with that, and it worked the same. You can reach in and you can see that. Hang on, it's hard to pick up sometimes with just one hand, but you can see that there is a way, oh here it is, to come in here and knot it. Whether you need that to be higher up to make the ear loop smaller or looser, you can do that. And then for mine, this one I have the filter insert. It's the Blue Shop towel. The pattern that I'm using to make the pleated ones is right here. It's just a square, 8 inches by 7 inches, and you cut one, and you cut one of the fabric that you want facing the outside. And then the other piece of the pattern is the back side, where you're gonna put in your filter pocket insert. So that's this piece, and you could do it in like a contrast fabric, like how I did on this one. You're gonna cut two. It's 8 inches by 4 inches. Okay, so now I want to show you guys how I'm making the pleated mask with the adjustable ear loop and filter insert and wire in the nose. And just so you know, you can basically adapt these how you want. You can use, the same fabric. You could use a contrast fabric. You can do what I did on some of these and use like the paracord, which by the way, don't iron these because they have a tendency to melt. Or, you can do what I did and create your own fabric ear loop. Okay, so this is my 8 by 7.5 inch piece. That's going to be the right side, the outside of my mask, this piece. And then these are my 2 pieces where I'm going to make the inside filter pocket. And I just want everybody to know that I adopted this pattern that I'm making from the Easy to Sew pattern. It's from a video that I watched on YouTube. Okay, so on the Easy to Sew pattern, what they do is first they have you overlock the edges. I'm not going to overlock the edges because there's raw edges already inside, and because it's a mask and not a garment, I'm just feeling like it's not worth the extra thread and time. I overlocked all the ones that I made for the healthcare worker I'm going to be setting some of them to, but for my personal ones and some of the ones I'm going to make for my friends, I'm just not going to do it. So the first step is I marked out on these are the pieces that are going to be the part that goes on the inside. You mark out 1 3/4 inches on each side, and then I'm going to seam here to here, back stitch, seam to here, back stitch, and then I'm going to iron it flat, but I'll show you what I mean. Okay, this is my very high-tech ironing board. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up, and then I'm going to iron these flat. I've ironed, so I ironed this seam open and flat, and you can see there's the pocket right here, and that's going to become this piece right here. And then what I'm going to do is, this is an optional step, but I recommend doing it, is I'm going to top stitch on both sides, and that'll just hold down the seam, this opening a little bit. Okay, and I don't know how straight that was because I'm sewing with one hand, but if you could see, I used this piece right here, sorry, as my guide, and then okay, I'll flip it around, and then I'm gonna top stitch down the other side. All right. Okay, so now that you have this piece done and the top stitching done, what you're gonna do is now you need to sew these pieces together. So you're gonna be sewing this front piece to this back piece, and we're gonna do it in steps, and I'm gonna show you guys how I do it. So first thing, you have to put, if you're not a sewer, or if you haven't sewn in a while, and I've made this mistake already a couple times making my masks, you got to put the right sides together. Okay, and then some people, they clip around or they pin around, but I don't really do that because I'm just straight stitching and I've been sewing for years. But I recommend, if you don't sew very often, just pin the pieces together. So what I'm gonna do, sorry, I have to do everything one-handed because, like I said, I don't do these videos, so I'm filming with my iPhone. Right side up, and then we're gonna match the two right sides together. My two right sides are together now. You can see wrong side out, right sides are together. Like I said, if you don't sew very often, I recommend putting some pins in. Okay, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna be sewing a straight stitch along the top and along the bottom, and we're gonna leave the sides open for now. We're not gonna do the full square. And the reason why we're gonna do just the top and the bottom to begin with is we're gonna actually need to make the ear straps and insert those when we sew the sides. Okay, so I just wanted to show you guys. Okay, so now I have both of my side seams, and I actually really like using this fabric for this pattern because it's got the lines, so it helps me sew straighter. So I really should have used a contrast thread, but I'm giving this one away to somebody, so I want it to look as good as it can. But you can see there's a seam here, a seam here. This is our center flat. Next step, we're gonna make the ear loops. So I don't actually have a pattern piece for the ear loops. The ear loops, you're gonna make them, if you're gonna make them from fabric, and I guess really if you're gonna make them from fabric or cord or elastic or whatever, I guess elastic would be different because it's stretchy, but I've been making mine 13 inches long. And that's so, you know, there's a good amount where we can tie it and adjust it. I think it's more likely that for most people an ear loop's gonna be probably about 10 inches or less, but I've been making mine 13 inches. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna cut out two pieces of fabric that are each 13 inches long by 1 3/4 inches wide. And then I'm gonna iron them to make kind of like a bias strip to make these straps here. And it's so super easy. Again, 13 inches long, and it's gonna be 1 3/4 inches wide. So now I have 2 straps. And now I'm gonna go iron these straps out, and I'm gonna show you guys how I iron it. Okay, so now I'm gonna iron my straps, and first what I need to do is I'm gonna put a seam, or put a crease down the center. And then I'm gonna fold it in on each side. Okay, so now that it has a fold on each side, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold it one more time here. then on one of these ends, before I sew it, I'm actually gonna put a little small seam right here to just catch the raw edge, but I only need to do that on one side. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it to my sewing machine and I'm gonna stitch all the way down here. Put one straight stitch all the way down to the end. So now I have my 2 straps ready to go, and I'm gonna show you, this is probably like the most important part of the video, is how I show you to put the straps in. I made it up myself. I don't know if anyone's doing it this way. This is the whole reason I'm making this video, because I thought that, you know, it was just a clever way to make masks for other people where you don't know how long they have to be, or sorry, how long the ear strap has to be. And so it was just like a hack that I came up with when I was sewing. And I'm not gonna say that it's like perfect, but so far in the masks that I made, I feel like it's turned out really awesome. So anyway, I want to show you guys how I do that. And you know, that's really the whole reason why I'm making this video, is to show you this technique. Okay. So this is where I'm gonna pin. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my strap. Okay, and I'm gonna take the side where, this is the side where I need to trim these threads off. I'm really not good about trimming threads off. You may have noticed all the threads all over. Okay, this is the side where I'm actually gonna put a knot, because it's the side that does not, can you guys see that? Does not have the raw edge. It's the side that I actually tacked down. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a knot kind of just arbitrarily like that, okay? This is the side with the raw edge. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my pattern and I'm gonna go to the pocket. I'm gonna put my strap in, okay? And I'm gonna make it flat like this, and I'm gonna put it right up. I'm gonna match this strap in like that, and I'm gonna put it right up on that seam. So the strap's now in between my 2 pieces of fabric. See the strap there? And it goes right up to that seam, and I'm gonna go ahead and stick a pin in, holding my strap there, okay? And then what I'm gonna do is on this side, the side with the knot, the side that I want to be adjustable, this is the way that I've been doing it. And if anyone has any other clever ideas, go ahead and tell me, but this is what I've come up with in it, and I think it looks good. So what I do is I just make sure the strap's not twisted, and it's not, and it's okay if it is, because honestly you could twist it around after you're done sewing it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it, and it doesn't have to be flat. In fact, it's probably better if it's not flat, but I'm going to stick it right up on that seam like that. I'm going to kind of pinch it down as far as it's going to go, okay? And then I'm going to put a pin right here just to hold the fabric together. And then what I'm going to do is and I probably should have put the pins on the other side, but I'm going to stitch from the very top, catching that strap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch down, back stitch, so that that strap is actually caught in the seam really securely. And then I'm going to continue stitching, and before I catch this bottom strap, I'm going to actually stop just shy of the strap and do a back stitch here, and then that's it. That's the end of my seam. Because what I want to be able to do is I want the seam to come all the way down to the end, but I still want to be able to pull and adjust this rope. So it's really important that you get it really as close as possible to the end, but not to the point where it's caught that, because otherwise you're not going to be able to pull that through. But if you don't go close enough, the knot's going to be able to fit through the hole. So it's a fine balance. You have to stitch all the way to the end, close, but not on top of your strap, whether that's a rope or whether that's a strap that you've made. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go and sew that, and I'm gonna show you guys what I do. And then I'm gonna stitch down, like I said, and then I'm gonna go back, and I'm gonna go back again, and then I'm gonna make sure that strap's caught in there really good, and then I'm gonna keep stitching stitching, stitching, stitching. And then I'm gonna get as close as I can, like I said, to this bottom strap, and then I'm gonna go back. And I don't, okay, so it looks like I caught it just a little bit. So that happens. I've been catching it every so often. And so what I need to do is I'm gonna have to rip that one stitch out. That's okay. It's been doing that because, okay. Yeah, so it's still caught in there. Okay, so there, that actually released it. So I'm gonna come back, and you gotta be really careful because, I mean, and it's gonna happen, like if you make enough of these, like you will stitch onto the strap at some point, just like I just did. So then what I do when I do that is I just come back and I just do it again. I just reinforce the seam again, and then I come in, and then you can go slow, and then sometimes I'll just walk it, and then I'll hit the back, and I'll go back, and then I'll check it. Okay, it's loose. Good. So this time it worked. And then what I do is I want to check to make sure that I sewed it close enough. So what I'll do is I'll actually reach in the pocket and pull it and see. Okay, so that seems like that hole is just small enough. Okay, so now I'm gonna do that exact same thing on the other side. Okay, so I just wanted to show you guys. So what I did was I sewed in, and you can see this strap is in here. Okay, and this is the thing, is when you're making these is you have to put the strap inside the pocket, because otherwise it's going to be on the inside of your mask if you put it out here. So anyway, one side of the strap is caught right here. This side right here is the adjustable side, and you can pull it and adjust the mask. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the exact same thing with this strap on the other side. Okay, so you're going to do the exact same again, other side. So same thing. I'm going to do a straight stitch, back up, touch my strap, and then I'm going to keep sewing down to the bottom. And then when I get near the bottom, I'm going to slow down, get close to my strap, hit the back. I'm really close to my strap now, so I'm going to hit the back button. And then I sew back, and then I just check it. Cool, it's loose. So I'm gonna cut it here. This time around I didn't accidentally sew onto the strap. So let's just check it. Yep, the knot is good. It is big enough, too big to fit through the hole. All right, now I'm ready to turn my mask right side out. What I do is I just take the straps and I pull the mask right side out. So here I've turned my mask inside out, and you can see that this strap, this is the top part that was caught actually in the seam. And then this is the bottom part where it's knotted, and you can reach in and pull the knot and do the adjusting if you want to. So like I said, here you want to make it looser, you just move the knot higher, or I guess, I don't know, higher or lower. And then you want to make it tighter, you move the knot lower onto the strap. Okay, so that's how that works. That's the reason I'm posting this video, is I just think I haven't seen anything like that yet, and I thought that was a clever way, again, to make a mask for people that, you know, you can't measure it on them and make it custom for them, because I'm making some masks for healthcare workers, and I wanted them to be able to make an adjustment there, and hopefully that works. So this mask, I need to come in and iron it now. So this is the right side, and I need to come in and just iron everything flat. And then the next step is you have to put your pleats in. And so for the pattern that I'm using, and this is the one that I got from Easy to Sew, what they do is they like pinch about halfway in between, and then they fold over on both sides. So I'm gonna show you that, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over to my iron and I'm gonna work on that. All right, so now I'm just gonna work on ironing the mask out flat, and I just kind of like pull the edges, like roll the edges as much as I can before I iron. Okay, this is the top of the mask right here, because we know it's the top of the mask because that's the part where the straps were actually caught in the seam. Okay. And if you're using a paracord on your mask, just be careful when you iron, because if your iron's really hot, it could melt that exterior cord, which has happened to me. Okay. So then this kind of is like, I guess, the fun part where you're going to put the pleats in. And the pattern that I'm using, the one that I got from Easy to Sew, what they do is they kind of just pull it like down like this. And it's like, I would say you want to go about 1 inch up and then pull down. And then what I always do is I look on the other side. See, because it's like, sometimes it looks like it's straight on one side, but it's not entirely straight there. So then I just kind of like adjust it a little bit to make it straight. And then I just go back and I check, and it looks pretty straight on that side. Cool. So then I'm just gonna iron that pleat in. Okay, so you can see that now that top pleat is in. And I think that some mask patterns do this, where they have like a triple pleat, but this Easy to Sew pattern does this. And after making one with kind of like this style, I think that I've decided that I prefer this style. So that's what I'm gonna do on this mask. So then in order to do that, you do the same thing. You just go about 1 inch down and then pull it up. And then I do the same thing where I come over to my front of my mask and I just check it and I look at it and it looks straight. So then I'm just going to iron it out. You can just kind of leave your iron on there. Okay, and then now that we have our ironed pleats in, we have a guide for how we're gonna do our pleats. And then the next step is we're gonna actually do like a top stitch this way and a top stitch here to catch the pleat. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is some of the patterns on the top. This is the top of our mask right here. On the top, they put wire in, and and I'll show you how I do that. I think it's an optional thing, but I just get like a little bit of wire, and I'm gonna put about 2.5 inches of wire here, and then I'm gonna top stitch a rectangle around the wire to hold it into place. So I've ironed it out, but I don't have my top stitching in there yet. Before I do that, I'm gonna work on the optional wire that I'm gonna put on the top here. So this is the wire I've been using, and I can't say it's my favorite. It's what I had at home. And some people have been saying that they use pipe cleaners or I guess gardening wire or twist ties. And I imagine that those work really well. I haven't really been out much, been staying at home. And I don't know, I've been seeing supplies have been running short on a lot of different things. So I don't really know how many pipe cleaners are in the world now. But this is what I had already at home. And so what I'm gonna do is on this particular mask, I'm gonna do it just like on my other mask, and I'm gonna put about a 2.5 inch piece of wire just here in the very center so you can pinch it over your nose. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do that now. This wire is very small, so I'm gonna actually do like a triple, I'm gonna triple the wire. I'll show you what I mean, it's hard to describe. And then I'm gonna put it right in here, and then I'm gonna top stitch around it. So I'm gonna get the wire that I need, and then I'm gonna show you what I do. Okay, so this is the wire. Basically what I did was I said I was gonna explain how I make it like 3. So I just like fold it 3 on top of each other, and then I try to make it as straight as possible. I know it's not perfect, but it's been working. So I'm gonna be actually coming up. I'm gonna put it into the pocket, and I'm gonna stick it up here on the top. It's basically gonna be in between my 2 pieces of fabric, and then I'm gonna top stitch around it. So, okay, let me get my tripod so I can try to show you. I'm gonna open the pocket, and I'm gonna push it up here to the top. And you're kind of like doing this blind, honestly. And so, hold on. Yeah. What are you doing, honey? Okay. So I'm kind of doing this blind, and I kind of just like, I hate to say this, but I sort of eyeball it. So like I can feel the wires right there. And then just to make sure it's center, where's my ruler? Sorry. Okay, here's my ruler. So the wire is right here. And the wire starts here right now and ends over here. So I'm just gonna measure. Yeah, I'm just gonna measure from where I can feel that it is. So it's about 2 inches in. And then on that side, it's 2 inches. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my marking chalk and I'm gonna mark it. So I can feel the wires right about there, 2 inches in, I'm gonna mark there. And then 2 inches there, I'm gonna mark there. And then what I'm gonna do now that I marked around my wire is I'm gonna be sure to hold it first of all up there by the top. And I'm actually just gonna put like about a centimeter top stitch down on both sides and then across to make a kind of like top stitch rectangle. All right, let's go to the sewing machine now. Okay, so yeah, I've got my wire, I'm holding it up there, I'm ready to do my top stitch rectangle. And like I've said, I mean, this step to me is optional. Like, you don't have to put a wire in. For the masks that I've been doing for healthcare workers, they ask for the wire because you can get a tighter fit around the nose, but I feel like for the rest of the public, it's one of those things where if you want to do it, you can. If not, no big deal. Okay. So now I'm going to go down, 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 down. All right. And then I'm going to come back up to finish off my top stitch rectangle. And then, yeah. So then you can see now the wire is being held right there on the top by this little rectangle. And because I use, yep. Oh, you have your cat? Okay. And because I use, hi kitty. And because I use this tan thread, it's really hard to see the thread. So you can't see how crooked my stitching can be. Okay. So now that I've did my wire top stitching, I'm gonna like go back to my pleats and I'm gonna put my pleats in now. And I'm gonna do that by top stitching. So my ironed creases are still in there, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pop some pins in just to hold it in place. If you have clips, you can use clips too. I think I need to invest in some clips. I don't have any clips. But I've been seeing a lot of sewers with them and I think they look really cool. So I'm gonna put the pleats in, and like I said, it's kind of, it takes a little bit of eyeballing just to make sure that your pleats are entirely straight. And honestly, you know, like, I'm just doing my best here to make sure that it's as straight as possible. Okay, so I'm gonna put my pins in, and that's just to hold it when I'm sewing. And what I wanted to do is I want it to look as neat as possible. And so I kind of just want to make sure that my fabric's lined up. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to get as close to the edge as I can. So I kind of just position my needle, okay, like literally a millimeter from the edge. And then sometimes my machine like gets caught on the strap, but anyway. Okay. Okay. And then as I approach my pleat, I could take my needle out and then keep going down. Oops. Okay. And you want to be like really careful. Don't do what I just did, because if you get too close, yeah, okay, that was fine. you want to make sure when you're doing, I hope you can see this. Okay. You want to make sure when you're doing your top stitching. So I just did that top stitching right there, but you want to make sure when you do your top stitching that as you get down to the bottom towards where you put that strap, don't go all the way to the edge because you need to leave that strap loose. So I was kind of distracted by doing this video and I got dangerously close to the strap. Luckily I didn't catch it, but if you can start at the top and go like all the way to the end on the top, but when you get to the bottom, just be really careful not to stitch onto that strap, because you want to be able to come back in and grab your strap and adjust it, right? That's the whole point. So I'm going to do the other side now, and you can see that now the top stitching's in, so it's holding my pleats in nicely. Okay, and then I just want to reach in and make sure my strap's still loose. It is awesome. And there you go. I mean, there's your, like, let's move, I'm gonna move over to my table, but like, that's the mask right there. You're done. Okay, so we're done. We put the top stitching in and the top stitching down on the side. I've seen, and we put our top stitching in to hold the wire in place. And I've seen other tutorials that will actually put the top stitching on the top and the top stitching along the bottom. And after doing enough masks, I am no longer putting the top stitching on either side. I just think it's just an extra step, and it's personal preference. If you want to put it on the bottom, go ahead. I just don't think it's necessary. So I just wanted to show you. I have to cut the threads off still, but we can see there's our pocket where we're going to put our liner. Again, I've been using blue shop towel for our liners, but I've heard other people talk about different things they're using. I bet you could put like a microfiber cloth in there too. I would just do your own research on what you think is effective. And then, yeah, you can see this is where the straps are going to be adjusted. So I'm going to try on the mask and I'm going to take a picture, and if I need my straps to be tighter, which it looks like I do, I'm going to go ahead and put my knot further up there, and then that way my strap won't be as long. So you can see how it's adjustable there, right? So you can see I have the wire here that I can push down around my nose. The pleats let me adjust it up and down. And then on the side I have my straps that go around my ears. Alright guys, I really hope that my video was helpful. I really hope that you are inspired to make a mask. And I'm posting it again because with making masks for other people, I wasn't sure how to get the exact size of this right. And I'm really I'm really happy that I figured that out. But I want feedback. So if you can think of a better way to do this, or if you have a pattern that you're using that you really like, please share that with me. I don't want to endorse any type of material for the mask or type of material for the liner. I've been using cotton. I think that's what most people have been using. And like I said, I've been using the shop towel for the filter, but I just urge you to do your own research on what the best materials for the mask is. All right, thanks for watching.